10 black actors currently behind bars. You think you know the lives of your favorite black stars. But what if I told you that behind the fame, the red carpets, and the flashing lights, some of Hollywood's biggest names are now locked away? Once celebrated for their talent and success, these stars traded luxury for a life behind bars. From chart-topping rappers to sports legends, their shocking downfalls will leave you stunned. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 10 black celebrities whose choices, and sometimes cruel twists of fate, led them to prison cells instead of movie sets. This isn't just another headline. It's a powerful reminder of how quickly fame can fade, and how even the brightest stars can fall. So sit tight, don't blink, and get ready to uncover the truth behind the glamour. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, because every story in this list will shake your idea of fame, power, and consequence. Caswell Sr., the rise and fall of Casanova. Caswell Sr., better known to the world as Casanova, was once the heartbeat of Brooklyn's raw, unapologetic street energy. Born in 1986 and raised in the tough corners of Flatbush, New York, his early years were a battle for survival. Trouble found him often, and prison even more. But when music finally gave him a way out, it seemed like fate had handed him redemption. His breakout single, Don't Run, in 2016 hit like a thunderclap. Gritty, fearless, and full of Brooklyn soul. It caught the attention of Roc Nation, Jay-Z's powerhouse label, and suddenly, Casanova's name was everywhere. With his high-voltage performances and authentic street persona, he embodied what fans called real New York rap. Collaborations with Chris Brown, a boogie with the hoodie, and Tory Lanez pushed him further into the spotlight. For a brief moment, he looked unstoppable, the next great voice out of Brooklyn. But fame couldn't erase his past. In late 2020, the FBI unsealed a chilling indictment linking Casanova to the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation, a violent New York gang. Accused of racketeering, drug trafficking, and violent crimes, Casanova turned himself in, declaring his innocence online. Yet as the evidence grew, the dream began to collapse. By 2022, he pleaded guilty to conspiracy and drug distribution, admitting he helped traffic cocaine, crack, and marijuana for the gang. In June 2023, a federal judge sentenced him to 15 years and 8 months in prison. Today, the man who once commanded stages across the world now wakes to the sound of prison doors clanging shut. His career, frozen in time. His freedom, gone until his late 40s. What makes Casanova's story so haunting isn't just the fall, it's the irony. He once rapped about escaping the streets, warning others not to repeat his mistakes. But in the end, the same streets he tried to outrun pulled him back in. Fans still debate his legacy. Some call him a victim of circumstance, a product of a system that never truly lets go. Others see his downfall as a cautionary tale of wasted potential. With Roc Nation behind him, he had every chance to rise above it all. But the cycle of the streets proved stronger. Caswell Sr.'s story is a tragedy of talent versus temptation, a reminder that success can't outrun your past if the past still lives inside you. The music world lost more than a rapper. It lost a voice that could have told a generation's truth. R. Kelly. R. Kelly, once hailed as the undisputed king of R&B, rose from the rough streets of Chicago to dominate global music charts. Born in 1967 into poverty, Robert Sylvester Kelly discovered early that his gift was music, a gift that would make him a household name. By the 1990s, his voice became the soundtrack of a generation. Smooth, seductive ballads like Bump and Grind and inspirational anthems like I Believe I Can Fly cemented his place in music history. The latter, featured on Michael Jordan's Space Jam soundtrack, earned him Grammy Awards and a legacy that seemed untouchable. For years, Kelly stood at the center of R&B's golden age, admired, adored, and unstoppable. But behind the lights and love songs was a dark and deeply troubling truth. Whispers about his involvement with underage girls haunted his career from the beginning. His illegal marriage to 15-year-old Aaliyah in 1994 marked the first public crack in his image, followed by mounting accusations and lawsuits through the late 1990s and 2000s. Though he was acquitted in a 2008 trial over child pornography, controversy never left his side. Then came 2019, and with it, a reckoning. The explosive documentary Surviving R. Kelly shattered the silence, as dozens of women came forward with harrowing stories of abuse, manipulation, and imprisonment. The world finally listened. Prosecutors reopened investigations, uncovering a chilling pattern of control that spanned decades. In 2021, a New York federal court found R. Kelly guilty of racketeering and sex trafficking, sentencing him to 30 years in prison. A year later, additional convictions in Chicago added even more time to his punishment. Now in his mid-50s, Kelly sits behind bars at FCI Butner, North Carolina. No longer superstar, but inmate #09627-035. Even from prison, he continues to file appeals, insisting he was wrongfully convicted. But courts have upheld the verdicts, affirming the gravity of his crimes and the pain of his victims. The fall of R. Kelly stands as one of music's most tragic and dramatic downfalls. A man who sold over 75 million records, shaped modern R&B, and influenced generations, brought down by the very demons he tried to hide. His story isn't just about fame and failure. It's about power, accountability, and the courage of survivors who refuse to remain silent. Once a legend, R. Kelly now serves as a warning. A reminder that even the brightest stars can burn out when truth finally demands its day. His name, once golden, will forever be stained by the darkness behind the music. Tamor Trayvon McIntyre, known to the world as Tay-K, was once the very face of youthful rebellion in hip-hop. Born in 2000 in Long Beach, California, and raised in Arlington, Texas, he embodied the restless spirit of a generation chasing fame at lightning speed. By just 16, his music spoke to millions online, raw, defiant, and electrified with the energy of a teen who felt unstoppable. Then came the race. The 2017 viral anthem exploded across the internet, not just for its beat, but because it was a chilling reflection of his real life. Tay-K was literally on the run from the law, turning his escape into a hit record. In that moment, fiction and reality blurred, propelling him from SoundCloud fame to national infamy. But behind the fame was a darker truth. In 2016, Tay-K was implicated in a deadly home invasion that left 21-year-old Ethan Walker dead. Instead of facing trial, he cut off his ankle monitor and fled, only to be tied to more robberies and another killing while on the run. His name became synonymous with the tragic intersection of talent and tragedy. By 2019, justice caught up. He was sentenced to 55 years for murder, 30 for aggravated robbery, and additional terms for separate crimes. Another conviction in 2023 added 80 years more. Those served concurrently. He won't even be eligible for parole until 2049, when he'll be nearly 50. Once a rising star, now confined behind bars, Tay-K spends most of his days in isolation, a ghost of the fame he once chased. To his fans, he's both a legend and a warning. Some still see a misunderstood product of his environment, a kid molded by hardship and violence. Others view him as proof that choices, no matter how young you are, have lasting consequences. His lyrics about struggle, survival, and street life now feel eerily prophetic. Tay-K's story is one of modern tragedy, a meteoric rise turned cautionary tale. At an age when most dream of graduation or studio deals, he faced the cold reality of life behind bars. His legacy endures online, looping endlessly through speakers worldwide, yet he may never again touch a stage. In the end, Tay-K's story isn't just about hip-hop. It's about the fragile line between fame and downfall, between the dream and the nightmare. His voice still echoes, but it's no longer a song of triumph. It's the haunting echo of what could have been. Clifford Etienne. Clifford Etienne, better known as the Black Rhino, once carried the aura of a heavyweight warrior destined for greatness. Born in 1970 in Lafayette, Louisiana, his path to fame was anything but ordinary. Before ever stepping into a professional ring, Etienne spent nearly a decade behind bars for armed robbery. It was there, in the depths of prison life, that he discovered boxing, a discipline that transformed him from a convict into a fierce athlete with unstoppable drive. Upon his release in the mid-1990s, Etienne exploded onto the boxing scene. His raw power and relentless aggression made him one of the most feared fighters of his era. With each victory, his reputation grew. In 2000, his win over former champion Lamont Brewster catapulted him into national recognition, and soon, the name Black Rhino echoed through boxing arenas across America. Promoters saw dollar signs, fans saw a future champion, and Etienne saw redemption. But the moment that defined his career came in 2003, when he faced the legendary Mike Tyson. Under the blinding lights and roaring crowd, the fight ended in just 49 seconds, a stunning defeat that marked the beginning of his downfall. From that night on, his career began to unravel, and so did his life. By 2005, the same man who once fought for glory returned to violence. In a shocking turn, Etienne attempted an armed robbery, fired shots at a police officer, and terrorized a family in a desperate act that stunned the boxing world. In 2006, he was sentenced to 105 years in prison without parole, a devastating end to a once promising story of redemption. Yet even in Angola prison, Clifford Etienne found a way to reinvent himself. Stripped of freedom but not of spirit, he turned to painting. His vibrant, abstract works have since caught the attention of art collectors and critics, revealing a man still searching for peace through creation. Supporters see redemption in his brushstrokes. Skeptics see a reminder of the choices that destroyed his life. Clifford Etienne's story is a tragic paradox, a tale of talent, transformation, and self-destruction. He stood toe-to-toe with Mike Tyson, touched the edge of greatness, and fell back into the darkness he once escaped. His legacy now lives in two worlds, the brutal beauty of boxing and the haunting quiet of a prison cell. A chilling reminder that discipline and destiny mean nothing when chaos takes the lead. Darrell Henley. Darrell Henley once stood on the edge of greatness, a rising star in American football, admired for his speed, intelligence, and effortless command of the game. Born in Los Angeles in 1966, he carved his path through UCLA's football ranks before being drafted in the second round of the 1989 NFL Draft by the Los Angeles Rams. On the field, Henley wasn't just talented, he was electric. Fans loved his precision, his poise, and the quiet confidence that made him seem destined for a long, shining career. Many believed he'd follow the familiar path of retired athletes, into broadcasting, endorsements, maybe even Hollywood. But behind that clean-cut image, a storm was brewing. As his fame grew, so did his connection to a darker world. By the mid-1990s, Henley had become entangled in a massive cocaine trafficking ring, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the NFL and shattered the image of a man once seen as a role model. In 1995, federal investigators uncovered his role in moving large quantities of drugs across state lines. The evidence was undeniable, and the fall was swift. But what came next was even more shocking. While awaiting sentencing, Henley attempted to orchestrate the murder of the federal judge and a key witness from his case, an act that turned a scandal into a nightmare. Prosecutors revealed his chilling plan to hire a hitman, transforming his image from disgraced athlete to convicted felon driven by desperation and rage. In 1997, Henley's fate was sealed, 41 years in federal prison. The dreams of fame, wealth, and legacy evaporated overnight. Once a celebrated player with a bright future, he became a cautionary tale, proof that even those blessed with talent, money, and opportunity can lose everything when greed takes control. Inside prison walls, Henley's name faded into obscurity. Unlike musicians or actors who find redemption through art, his career ended the moment the truth surfaced. Teammates turned away, the NFL erased his legacy, and the public moved on. Yet his story lingers as a sobering reminder. Discipline on the field means nothing without discipline in life. Henley won't be eligible for release until the 2030s. By then, he'll be a man far removed from the game he once ruled. What remains is not the glory of touchdowns or trophies, but the haunting memory of potential loss to temptation. His legacy isn't written in highlight reels. It's etched in federal records, a tragic testament to how quickly success can crumble when integrity disappears. Dante Mitchell. His name may not echo through hip-hop charts or sports arenas, but Dante Mitchell's story carries a weight all its own, a story of redemption gained and then lost. Born in New York in the early 1980s and raised in the rough streets of Albany, Mitchell grew up surrounded by poverty, crime, and survival. By the time he was barely 20, the streets had claimed him. In the 1990s, a string of armed robberies and violent offenses landed him in prison for decades. But behind those concrete walls, something began to change. Mitchell educated himself. He studied law, became a jailhouse advocate, and fought to show that transformation was possible even inside a cage. His letters and speeches caught the attention of prison reformers who saw in him a spark of hope. Then, in 2021, that hope became real when Governor Andrew Cuomo granted him clemency. For a moment, Dante Mitchell was celebrated as proof that even the fallen could rise again. Returning to Albany, he was welcomed as a voice for change. Schools, churches, and community groups invited him to speak. People whispered that he might one day run for office. It was the kind of comeback story Hollywood would envy. The convict turned reformer preaching second chances. But within 2 years, that dream collapsed. In 2023, Mitchell was arrested once more, this time for his involvement in a shooting that left a man wounded. Prosecutors said he hadn't changed at all, that the old ways never left him. And in 2025, the same man once hailed as a symbol of redemption was sentenced to 15 years in prison. To many, it felt like betrayal. Advocates who had fought for his release faced public outrage. The community that once lifted him up now questioned whether true rehabilitation was even possible. Now in his 40s, Dante Mitchell sits once again behind bars, not as a hero, but as a warning. His story no longer inspires, it haunts. It reminds us that not every second chance leads to salvation. Some lead right back to the same dark road. The doors that once opened for Dante have closed again, this time perhaps forever. Daystar Shemuel Schwa Peterson. Daystar Shemuel Schwa Peterson, known to the world as Tory Lanez, rose from humble beginnings in Brampton, Ontario, to become one of the most dynamic and versatile artists of his generation. Blending rap, R&B, dancehall, and pop, he created a unique sound that allowed him to stand shoulder to shoulder with music's biggest names. With multi-platinum hits like Say It and Love, and collaborations with Chris Brown, Meek Mill, and Drake, Tory's career seemed unstoppable. By 2019, he wasn't just an artist. He was a force, a chameleon capable of mastering any genre and dominating every soundscape. But everything changed on July 12, 2020. After a party in the Hollywood Hills hosted by Kylie Jenner, an argument erupted inside a vehicle carrying Tory, Megan Thee Stallion, and 2 others. Moments later, gunshots rang out, shattering both silence and careers. Megan was struck in her feet, and soon after, she accused Tory Lanez of pulling the trigger. What followed was one of the most divisive scandals in modern hip-hop. Fans and fellow artists split into camps, some defending Tory's innocence, others standing firmly with Megan. In December 2022, after months of speculation and a high-profile trial, a Los Angeles jury found Tory Lanez guilty on 3 felony counts: assault with a semi-automatic firearm, possession of a loaded and unregistered weapon, and negligent discharge of a firearm. In August 2023, he was sentenced to 10 years in state prison, marking one of the most dramatic downfalls in contemporary music history. From platinum records to prison walls, Tory's story became a haunting portrait of talent undone by ego and consequence. He continues to appeal his conviction, claiming injustice and wrongful sentencing, But each passing year behind bars fades his once brilliant momentum. The music world moves fast, and by the time he's free, a new generation may have taken the stage he once ruled. What makes Tory's fall so tragic is the contrast. A man once celebrated for his voice, charisma, and artistry now confined to silence. He had the world at his feet and the power to elevate Canadian hip-hop to global heights. But one violent night in Los Angeles changed everything. For Daystar Peterson, the price wasn't just his freedom. It was the destruction of the legacy he fought so hard to build. Willie Jr. Maxwell II. Willie Jr. Maxwell II, better known to the world as Fetty Wap. Once hailed as one of hip-hop's brightest stars, Fetty's rise from the rough streets of Paterson, New Jersey, to the top of the charts felt like something out of a dream. Born in 1991, he grew up in a working-class neighborhood where struggle was constant and music became both his escape and his purpose. After losing his left eye to congenital glaucoma, Fetty turned what could have been a lifelong insecurity into a signature symbol of strength and individuality. Then came 2015, the year the world met Trap Queen. The song exploded across airwaves, hitting number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, earning Grammy nominations and making Fetty a household name. With follow-up hits like 679, My Way, and again, his melodic sing-rap style changed the sound of hip-hop. His self-titled debut album went straight to number 1, and suddenly, Fetty was everywhere. On stage, on red carpets, and in every major festival lineup. But as the lights shone brighter, the shadows grew darker. Behind the fame, old habits and dangerous associations crept back in. By the late 2010s, his career began to falter. Label disputes, personal loss, and legal problems dimmed what once seemed an unstoppable ascent. Then came the shocking downfall. In October 2021, Fetty Wap was arrested at Citi Field in New York, accused of being part of a multi-million-dollar drug trafficking ring. Federal agents claimed he helped move over 100 kilograms of heroin, fentanyl, and cocaine across New Jersey and Long Island. Fans were stunned. How could the same man who once ruled the charts now face a federal sentence? In May 2022, Fetty pleaded guilty to conspiracy to distribute cocaine. A year later, he was sentenced to 6 years in federal prison, a verdict the judge called a tragic waste of talent. Today, Willie Maxwell sits behind bars, far from the roaring crowds that once screamed his name. He'll be in his mid-30s when he's released, older, wiser perhaps, but facing an industry that may have long moved on. His story mirrors a painful truth too often seen in hip-hop. Escaping the streets is never easy when the past refuses to let go. Fetty Wap once had it all: the fame, the fortune, the love of millions. But now, the stage he never wanted is a prison cell, and the world can only wonder, when those gates open again, will redemption be waiting, or just silence? Demetrius Edward Flenory. Demetrius Edward Flenory, better known as Big Meech, is a name forever carved into the dark legend of America's underworld. Born in 1968 in Detroit, Michigan, Demetrius and his younger brother, Terry Southwest T. Flenory, came from humble beginnings in a struggling working-class home. But out of scarcity grew ambition, and by the late 1980s, that ambition took shape in the streets. Starting small, the brothers built something few could imagine: the Black Mafia Family, or BMF, a criminal empire that would come to dominate the nation's cocaine trade for nearly 2 decades. At its peak in the early 2000s, BMF wasn't just moving product, it was moving power. The organization funneled thousands of kilos of cocaine across America every month from Los Angeles to Atlanta, raking in hundreds of millions. But Big Meech wasn't just a drug kingpin. He was a cultural force. Through BMF Entertainment, he blurred the line between crime and celebrity, promoting hip-hop artists, hosting lavish parties, and rubbing shoulders with rap royalty. For a moment, it seemed like he'd found a way to turn infamy into influence, living life like a modern-day mob legend. Untouchable, unstoppable, unforgettable. That illusion shattered in 2005 when the DEA struck. After years of surveillance, the government dismantled BMF in one of the largest drug busts in modern U.S. history. Big Meech and his brother were arrested and charged with running a continuing criminal enterprise. In 2008, Meech was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison, his empire collapsing as quickly as it rose. The mansions, the cars, the fame, all replaced by concrete walls and a prison number. Today, Meech serves his time in Oregon, though reforms and good behavior could see him free in the early 2030s. Yet his story refuses to fade. Through countless rap lyrics, interviews, and the hit Starz series BMF, his name lives on. His son, Demetrius Lil Meech Flannery Jr., even portrays him on screen, immortalizing the legend his father built. To some, Big Meech is a cautionary tale, a man whose empire of drugs and dreams was always destined to fall. To others, he's a folk hero, a symbol of power, loyalty, and survival in a system stacked against him. But however you see him, one truth remains: he changed the culture. Now in his mid-50s, Big Meech's days of ruling the streets are long gone, but his shadow still looms large over hip-hop and American pop culture. His story is one of ambition and consequence, a rise so dazzling and a fall so devastating that it still sparks debate decades later. Was he a victim of his environment or the architect of his own downfall? Whatever your answer, the name Big Meech will forever echo through the history of power, fame, and the price of both.